5th place is Starmie Articuno, which I think is one of the strongest versions of water. I think playing just a 2 Articuno, you're trying to run the lottery. Adding Starmie to it, adding Starmie to it makes it so that you're playing an actual deck. And Starmie is just very, very... Like, I think this deck is so much... Like, so if you don't want to duel, you just want to, like... I want to enter a tournament, roll the dice, and, like, maybe I top, maybe I don't. Then take the Starmies out and play 2 Articuno, and, like, you're running the lottery. But if you want to actually duel and play a better deck that will more consistently have a win rate, you fucking put the Starmies in. Yeah. Welcome back to the channel. Now, we have a special video here today. We have a tournament report, but not for Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, you guys are used to seeing Frazier dominate, do tournament reports, you know, be really mean with frogs, scrub out with dragons. But today we have Pokemon. I entered a tournament last week while at work. I was just at work, and I was like, you know what? I want to enter a tournament. So I entered one real quick, and after entering, I found out, like, right before the tournament started, the final amount of people that entered was something around 251. I remember the streamer saying, because it was, like, hosted by some streamer, there's 251 people in the tournament. And this was, like, on a Thursday or a Friday, but in the middle of the afternoon. That same weekend, there was another tournament Saturday night that had, I think, 1,600 entrants.
I'm not surprised because it was on a weekend for one. And Jesus, 1,600 is crazy.
Yeah, pretty nuts. But we entered this one. There's about, let's just say, 250 entrants. I got top 16, and we'll talk about that because...
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I wasn't going to just do a tour. If I scrubbed out, you guys wouldn't have heard of this. All right.
I mean, you listen, I do the same thing.
You guys wouldn't have heard of it.
There's not much to be honest, so.
Yeah. So anyway, this was round 1. Round 1 was really easy because he never showed up. But I think I would have won anyway. But
so I have a couple questions because what deck did you play?
So I played, so if you look on the screen here, on the bottom will be my deck, and that'll be throughout the video. My deck list will always be here on the bottom. So I played 2 Ralts, 2 Kirlia, 2 Gardevoir, 2 Mewtwo EX, 1 base Mewtwo, 2 Professor's Research, aka Pot of Greed, 2 Sabrina, 1 Giovanni, 2 Pokeball, 2 Potion, and 2 X-Speed.
And I think it's crazy because in Pokemon TCG Pocket, your deck is 20 cards, and you can't go over, right?
No, you can't go over or under. It has to be exactly 20.
Has to be exactly 20. Your deck is only 11 different cards, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like 6 on the top, 5 on the bottom. So you're playing 11 different cards. 2 of almost everything except the Mewtwo that you play, which I believe is a tech choice you said when we had another.
Yeah. You'll see. I played against a couple Mewtwo mirror matches, and you'll see that their build is a tiny bit different. Most of the same, but slightly different.
I expect that though, with a 20 card minimum and maximum, like the decks, once they're defined in a meta, they will be what they are because there's only so much room that you can even make. Especially with we're only 1 set into this game, right?
Yeah. It's going to get a lot more spicy when you have like 5 sets.
Yes, then you could just see anything in the 20, and I actually can't wait for that. But I don't mind this being simplified, especially for someone like me who doesn't really, I don't know the game that well. I just know what I know about it from you and Silverman and Gary and stuff like that. Mostly from you though at this point, because you're the only one I know who's playing it like competitively at least, and has played in a tournament and stuff, which is awesome. Out of 251 people, you got top 16. That's really good.
To, I guess, quickly go over for anybody who's not fully aware of some of the cards and why they're being played. Ralts, Kirlia, Gardevoir is just there because you need Ralts and Kirlia to even play Gardevoir. And Gardevoir generates an energy every turn, mainly for Mewtwo. It helps make so Side Drive is live every single turn. Side Drive does 150 and discards 2 Psychic Energy. So Gardevoir just helps enable Mewtwo to be able to attack with his biggest attack every turn. Once that's fully set up, it's really hard for them to recover unless they have something bigger and badder like Charizard. Base Mewtwo is there, once again, as a tech choice. He has 120 health and only 2 retreat cost. There was a point in time where people were playing Chansey or Snorlax in this slot, and then I think for the most part, people don't play those anymore. Otherwise, people play either Kangaskhan or Jinx or Farfetch'd, or they just don't play that card at all, and they play another trainer card. I play base Mewtwo because he has 120 health, which means he cannot be one-shot by Pikachu EX. He can't be one-shot by any early game attack. I think the strongest 2 energy attack that can realistically happen early game is Pikachu EX and Starmie EX for like 90, which is 100 after Giovanni. So it's impossible to one-shot this Mewtwo, which is an important reason why I play it over Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan can be one-shot by Pikachu and Starmie after Giovanni. And we'll talk more about Kangaskhan later.
Comes up a lot then, huh? The extra 10 damage?
That extra 10 damage is a lot because it hits important breakpoints, because if you're 10 damage off from a kill, you can end up losing the game, because it's like that guy's still alive, gives your opponent a whole nother turn to do stuff. And if you just get the kill, you get the kill. You get a point, you take them out of commission. Another reason why the Mewtwo is important is versus Snorlax, who has 150. Snorlax's retreat cost is 4, which means you have to lose 4 energy to retreat. Base Mewtwo's is only 2, which means it only costs 2 energy to retreat. This is important because it allows you more flexibility on switching out. I played 2 X-Speed. X-Speed reduces the retreat cost by 1. This means that if I play 1, I can retreat Mewtwo with just 1 energy, or if I play 2, I can retreat him with 0 energy. Whereas Snorlax, the minimum, if I played 2 in 1 turn, would still be 2 energy to retreat him. Even though he has 30 more health, that 30 more health doesn't really come up. It's not relevant. And more so, the Snorlax will just be there, and he'll successfully wall for me, but then at some point, I'll want him out of the way, and the opponent can go out of their way to not kill it, so they can finish setting up, and then kind of put me in a really bad spot.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I would not kill your Snorlax if I'm not done.
Yeah, so other than that, Giovanni is plus 10 damage. Sabrina forces your opponent to switch their active with a benched Pokemon. This is really nice for sniping a kill on something that's trying... Yep. Yeah, well, not really creature swap, but it is a creature swap. But yeah,
I call it creature swap. I have to turn all your cards into Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like you mentioned, Pot of Greed is the professor's research thing.
Yeah.
So all your cards to me, like you have Diane Keto, your Potion.
Yeah, Potion's Diane Keto.
You got Rhoda, Pokeball.
Pokeball is Rhoda. Yeah, I mean, technically, you play 2 Rhodas, 2 Pot of Greeds, which is crazy.
That is actually wild, especially in a 20 card deck. You are going to see these cards realistically.
Yeah, so that's another thing about this game, before we get on to actually talking about the rounds, is I do feel like, in general, you can build decks with pretty good consistency. It's only 20 cards, you play 2 Pot of Greeds, 2 Rhodas. You can make your decks fairly consistent. Of course, there's going to be situations where you brick just because you will, but you can make your deck pretty consistent and feel really good. Another reason why I think red card is bad, and kind of goes into... We can talk about the rounds now, and then...
Yeah.
If other stuff comes up about my deck or various tech choices, we'll, talk about it. But round 1 was a bye. This guy just never showed up. Maybe he saw... So here's something that's crazy that I learned about. I was doing this kind of at the seat of my pants. I just signed up at work, got in. I didn't really know what was going on. You sign up on this website, and then when your round comes up, a notification shows up on your dashboard for the website. You click it, and it brings you into a chat room. And in that chat room, you interact with your opponent, and you have to check in. If you click check in, and then 5 minutes pass, and your opponent doesn't check in, then your opponent just loses. So you click the check in button, and then there's a chat room for you guys to talk to each other. And then on the bottom is just your deck list. So before my opponent even showed up, I was able to see his deck list. And this is true for the whole tournament. So I can see your deck list as soon as we get matched together.
Do you think that's a good or a bad thing? I know it's early days for this game, but
So, I think it's a necessary... So overall, I did actually like it. Whether or not it's super healthy long-term, I don't know, but I know why it's there. And the reason why it's there is because this game is played on an app on your phone, and there's no way for anyone to know if you lied about your deck list.
Right.
Other than this. Because... If there's 1,600 people playing, there's not enough judges to check everybody every single game, right?
No.
So the only way for your deck list to be checked, it being on an outside app, unlike something like Dueling Book, is your opponent has to see your deck list and see that you played a card that you're not playing.
Right.
So I think it's just kind of a necessary thing.
So you submit your deck list at somewhere too? Is that what happens?
Yeah, you have to submit your deck list.
Perfect. This sounds checks and balances. These are the types of things that you need to have when you do anything online, especially. I'm with it now that you say it like that, because there's just not enough people to go through and check it, and otherwise people could just switch their deck every single round if they wanted to. If they know what the opponent's playing somehow, they could also just play your bad matchup, whatever Mewtwo's bad matchup is. They could play that, stuff like that.
They could because there's not side decking, but they could side deck. If I know what you're playing, I could still play my Mewtwo deck, but this card's actually a little bit better versus water. I want to, and there's no way for them to know.
Tournament, red card's ass. You're like, you know what? I'm taking this out and I'm putting in something more useful. And so,
yeah,
I get it. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I didn't get to play this guy. I wish I did. It would have been fun, but I do think I would have won regardless. Mankey Primeape and the Machamp line are weak to Psychic.
Yep.
There was a very small chance of them coming out on top with them being weak to me. Also, Mewtwo is just a better deck overall. Marowak EX could steal games just because, like, you can win the lottery, do 160, and, like, congratulations. But overall, this guy never showed up. I think I would have won regardless. Not much more to talk about. We'll look at round 2. Round 2, I get to play a real deck. I get to play Pikachu EX, what is considered the best deck in the format right now.
I was just about to say that. So how would you tier right now, just like top 3 or 4 decks in the format? How would you just tier them? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Pikachu EX is number 1. I'd say Mewtwo is number 2, and Water is number 3. But specifically the water that plays Starmie. You guys will see that I play Articuno at some point in this tournament. I think the Starmie deck is the strongest water deck because Starmie is very similar to Pikachu. She has 130 HP versus 120, and for 2 energy she does 90 damage. And there's no stipulation, she just always does 90, whereas Pikachu does 30 per electric Pokemon on the bench. So you can actually manipulate. Like, if they get bench screwed, if they don't get enough Pokemon on their bench, or if you end up killing some of the bench Pokemon, you can make the Pikachu weaker, where Starmie just always does 90. She has a 0 retreat cost. She's really powerful. I think the only reason why she isn't played as much is because she's weak to electric.
Right, and Pikachu happens to be the number 1 deck.
Yeah, yep.
Gotcha.
So, this round was interesting. I was excited to play against Pikachu, because I wanted to enter a tournament because I wanted to play again. I wanted to play real games. You know what I mean? 2 out of 3s, real games against real decks. This deck, or this round rather, I won pretty easily. I think I 2-0'd him. I didn't really have any issues at all.
You guys play best 2 out of 3?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, 2 out of 3.
I don't know why I'm so used to Pokemon being best of 1. Because I know the in-real life card game does a lot of best of 1. Not for big tournaments, I heard. If it's like a regional or YCS level event, they do I guess best 2 out of 3. But for years and years and years of my life, I've heard that Pokemon is the best of 1 game for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that never sat well with me for obvious reasons. So I'm glad to hear that this is best 2 out of 3 anyway.
Yeah, this was 2 out of 3. I think it's a community run tournament. Most of the tournaments are community run, and communities will always go to 2 out of 3, I think, at least.
Yeah. More competitive.
So yeah, 2 out of 3. I 2-0'd him, and this was, so I have some opinions on this Raichu. I think Raichu, I have some, it's back and forth. The Raichu variant of this build, I think, can be good. But I also think it's really bricky. So the thing about Raichu is he has Thunderbolt, which deals 140, discard all lightning energy from this Pokemon. So it's a really strong attack. It requires 3 lightning energy, but after you use it, you have no lightning energy. The reason why they play this is he's like a blowout card. You play Raichu, and like all of a sudden you can steal games. Lieutenant Surge sends all lightning energy from your bench to Raichu. So if you have like energy on Zapdos and Pikachu, whatever, Raichu's up, you Lieutenant Surge, get all the energy, kill a guy, and then like go for the game.
Right.
In my rounds playing against this deck, that kind of never came up, and I was able to specifically play around it. Here's the other thing. Raichu doesn't kill Mewtwo. Mewtwo has 150 health. So there was a lot of times where I was playing, and I'm like paying attention to the energy, I'm paying attention to the game state, and I'm playing in a way where he cannot game shot me. Like one of the games, I had like a full health Mewtwo EX up front, and then a damaged one on the bench, and I was like thinking all the ways I could lose, and it was like he had to either use Giovanni on me, he had to use Raichu and Giovanni my Mewtwo to one-shot it, or he had to Sabrina to get my other Mewtwo and kill it with Raichu, because Pikachu and Zapdos wouldn't have done enough damage. The problem is, none of that could ever happen, because he also needed to play Lieutenant Surge to get the energy onto Raichu, because there was just not enough turns to get energy on his Pikachu to play early game, on his Zapdos, and on his Raichu. So you need to have like energy on Pikachu and Zapdos and your other Pokemon, and then you need to play Lieutenant Surge to get that energy onto Raichu for the game shot. But then that just never matters because you're 10 damage off from killing Mewtwo, and you can't play Lieutenant Surge and Giovanni in the same turn, or Sabrina. Right. I feel as though what ends up happening with the Raichu deck is Lieutenant Surge ends up being kind of a brick, and against Mewtwo, it's really hard to get the game shot.
I'm also realizing that what you were talking about earlier with the thresholds, the 10 extra damage from Giovanni, like that is enough to kill Mewtwo because the attack does 140, Mewtwo has 150. So that's an example right there of that extra 10 just mattering a lot. Because if the Mewtwo lives, you're fucking dead.
Yeah, yep. This Raichu in the deck is a good example of, I feel like you need Giovanni, and I think maybe you have to play 2. This guy only plays 1. I think you need Giovanni to kill Mewtwo, but then the problem is you need to have energy on your Raichu, and spending turns building up Raichu is kind of bad because he doesn't do anything until you have 3 energy. It's kind of rough. The good thing about Raichu is like he can just sneak a kill. He can just all of a sudden do a blowout where it's a close game, you're damaged, you bring out Raichu, you Lieutenant Surge, blowout, and you win. Raichu kills everything in the Pikachu deck. So in the mirror match, it's also strong because it kills everything in the Pikachu deck. Like nothing lives Raichu. So it's something, it's a tech choice that ends up being really powerful in the mirror match. And I think actually slacks a bit in the match against Mewtwo.
Right, so maybe this guy was saying, I want my bracket to be a lot of mirror matches, because if that is truly considered the best deck by most competitive players, then people go in with these kind of hard pre-decks like this. Yeah.
So overall, this round was pretty easy. Round 3, I play Mewtwo. This was a fun round. So this person, as you can see, does not play the base Mewtwo or any other like side card. They're just playing Ralts, Corellia, Gardevoir, and Mewtwo.
Yeah, they're playing only 10 different cards. You're playing 11, so you have like a completely different card in your deck.
Yep.
Being that Mewtwo, actually.
So
they're playing 2 Giovannis.
The difference here that ends up happening is that playing the extra Mewtwo helps with the starting hand, like percentages. I don't want Ralts to be out in front in danger, because Ralts into Gardevoir is the engine that makes Mewtwo EX function. So playing 3 Mewtwo's, 2 EXs, and 1 base helps my opening hand hopefully have a Mewtwo in it to be out in front, and then get a Ralts on the bench to build up. When you play just the 2/2, you have, a 50-50 shot in what you open up with.
Yeah.
The other thing is playing 1 extra basic helps with Pokeball. Pokeball just adds a random basic Pokemon from your deck to your hand. It helps Pokeball not be dead if you end up drawing everything. Like if you get your 2 Ralts and your 2 Mewtwo, it just gives Pokeball 1 more target to not be dead.
You don't value a second Giovanni. You can play 1 Giovanni per turn?
Yeah, well, you can play 1 supporter per turn. So all of your spell cards are classified as trainer, and there's 2 types of trainer cards. There's item and supporter. Items you can use as much as you want, so you can use 2 Pokeball and 2 potions all in 1 turn.
Right.
But supporter, you can only use 1 for the entire turn. So if you play Professor's Research to draw 2 cards, you cannot play Sabrina or Giovanni or Lieutenant Surge like that Pikachu deck.
I wish, I'm starting to see it now, the difference between cards. It took me a while to realize that supporters and items, what is different, and it's the bottom, how there's a blue thing on the items, and
there's like
like that orange.
Yeah, blue and orange. Yeah.
I wish that it was more in your face. You know, like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
A trap card is a trap card, and a spell card is a spell card.
Yeah.
If you come from our day, Magic card was what they were called when they were green, but like, it's so apparent what a card is by just seeing it without even seeing the picture. You don't need to see the text. You can just see it from a distance, like, oh, he's holding 3 spells in his hand, because it's so glaring in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was like, I can't tell the difference between supporters and items, but now I'm starting to realize, first of all, supporters have humans on them.
Yep.
And items are just like objects. So that's one thing, but you need to see the picture for that. If I was walking past and I saw a bunch of these white cards in your hand, I might not necessarily know how many items or supporters individually you have or whatnot. I just know that you have a combination of them. So I don't know. That's just like one of the things I'm noticing about the card design, but it's just... Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh versus Pokemon thing. Yeah,
it's interesting because maybe they feel like they don't have enough colors, considering they have to color code all of the individual Pokemon cards. Like the Psychics are purple, the Fires are red, and whatever. Yeah. But there is a visual difference, although it is not a striking one for sure.
Right, it's not as like glaring when I look at a deck list to be like, oh, he's playing 10 spells or whatever, you know?
Yeah. So this was round 3. This was fun. This was also 2-0 for me, I believe. And my opponent was like kind of butthurt. They were like, "Oh, you got lucky. This game's like all luck or whatever." And there's
Can I
luck
ask a
and
question too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but butthurt people online I love it. I was gonna say, I wonder, do you know who won the die roll thing? Like who got tails? And winning the die roll, I mean, who went second?
So I obviously don't remember all of them, but for this one, I think I went first game 1, and I think I went second game 2.
What I was gonna say is that I heard in is it Lorcana? It's Lorcana. In Lorcana, you play best of 2, and the die roll doesn't matter because each of you goes first in one of the games. So like,
Yeah.
in Lorcana is a game where, like a normal trading card game, going first is broken. Now I know it's the exact opposite in Pokemon TCG Pocket right now, where going second is better. But in Lorcana, the way they dealt with the whole die roll meta, or like people being mad that I lost the die roll, I lost the set, when that happens a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh, is both of you are going to go first in one of the games. You're going to play 2 games and then report the scores. So if you 2-0 your opponent, then now you're likely to, you know, have a better, not only do you have a better record, but you're likely to play against other people who 2-0'd, right?
Yeah.
And then if you 1-1, then like that gets reported.
And that's just, yeah, that's interesting.
It makes the die roll not matter, which is really cool. McKay was talking about this to me, and he was like, I really like that about it, because me and him have played Yu-Gi-Oh for 20 years, and we've always complained about the die roll throughout various formats. So
yeah, unfortunately in this and that, so it is 2 out of 3, but there's no control. Like, even if you play 3 games, right? Like, if you go to game 3, I could end up going first all 3 games.
Right. That would be awful, but you can lose 3 coin flips. Yeah,
so there's no control over that, which does suck. But I think for this, I went first one game and second the other game. I won both of them. And especially game 2, the person got, you know, they were just like, this game's like all luck, like you got really lucky. The thing is, though, they made some pretty crucial misplays, I think. So there was at one point where they had a Mewtwo EX up front, and I had one, I think I had one in the back, and I had base Mewtwo up front. And the way the energy was playing out, basically, I was able to use side drive next turn. I was going to retreat, base Mewtwo out, and bring in my Mewtwo EX to do side drive. They had a Mewtwo EX up front, and then I think they had their other Mewtwo EX on the bench. So we both had Mewtwo's out. But I was cooking the one in the back that was ready for side drive. They had one in the back that had no energy on it, and then the one in the front had 2 energy on it. And then they made the decision to attach a 3rd energy to it, which does nothing because it needs 4 energy to use its big attack. They attached a 3rd energy to it, and if you look at the board, it was going to die next turn. So, like, she attached the 3rd energy. I said she. I don't know if she was a she, but her username was like a female name, so that's... Anyway.
Yeah.
They attached the 3rd energy to it. You know, they attacked me. It went to my turn. I switched, brought up Mewtwo, side drived, killed their Mewtwo.
Right, so they put eggs on a sinking ship.
They put eggs on a sinking ship. After that, they just, like, quit, I think. Right. But there was still things they could have done. If they had, like, if they were more smart with where they were putting their energy and then switching their Pokemon around and doing stuff, like, there was things they could have done to play out of it. But they ended up, like, committing to something that was losing anyway, and they just lost. They said they said I got lucky, and I was like, oh, yeah, man, like, them's the breaks or whatever. Like, I forget what I said.
I just agree. I just agree. Unless my opponent is really being an ass about it, but like typically I'll just agree to get, you know, to get them to shut up or get out of the situation because I don't really care.
Yeah, but moving on, round 4, boom, we're back to Pikachu.
Yep.
This deck,
you're playing a lot of meta.
Yeah.
Outside of round 1, the Mankey deck or whatever, it's been Pikachu, Mewtwo, Pikachu.
Yep. This deck, once again, I felt very much the same as round 2. And this one even more. I fucking steamrolled this person.
Magneton. What's this about?
So, Magneton is the main card that enables Raichu, I'd say. But maybe it's good. Maybe I just haven't played against the person or played against the right ratios that make me go, oh my god, it's really good. But in general, I think it's like pretty bad. Magneton's ability is once per turn, you can attach a lightning energy to it. So essentially, that's an additional lightning energy. So you have your one attached per turn, and then Magneton generates a lightning energy for himself, right? So he can be on the bench generating lightning energy. And what's really good about that is if you have Magneton, he's generating lightning energy
for Lieutenant
Surge and the Raichu.
Yep.
And that's, you know, really good for getting into Raichu. The problem is, I just don't think it's good. I feel like it's too bricky. Magneton himself's not that good. There are better electric Pokemon. I actually have the deck list for top 8 that we can quickly look at, and you can see. But there's Zebstrika is really good. Electrode's good. Pinchurin or whatever the fuck its name is really good. Magneton on his own just not that good. He plays it into Raichu, but I think for the most part, this guy just bricked a lot because he had like Magnemite. Like I got points off killing Magnemites. and he was like trying to get Raichu happening, and then like Pikachu and Zapdos, which are the most threatening things immediately, aren't coming up as much because you have all this other shit there. And then I have to imagine there was times where his hand had Lieutenant Surge in it, but he had nothing to fucking do with it because like there was just nothing happening. So this game was really easy for me. I think Raichu is like pretty bad overall, but I looked at the standings, and the Raichu version of the Pikachu deck is one of, not of this tournament, overall, it's one of the highest performing Pikachu decks, but every time I've played against it, I felt as though it was more bricky than the other ones.
I really do think it goes back to what we talked about earlier, where people are choosing to play a deck pre for the mirror match more than they care about other decks.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It's like people, I mean, it's kind of what's happening in the Edison format right now, where people are showing up with these main deck devies, and then people have been main decking Crow more often and things like that. These are obviously for the most part, these all stem from frogs. Like frogs caused a lot of the things that have happened in Edison format are because of frogs existing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, people show up with pre, and then the pre I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it can be bad if you face matchups that you didn't expect, right? If you start playing against like fucking Rockstone or Machina Control doesn't get deck devied nearly as hard as like frogs and the other decks does. So you just get steamrolled by Machina Control, which is one of the top decks in the format, 100%.
Yep. So I kind of agree. I think that's what happened here, is that Raichu doesn't really feel threatening to me as Mewtwo. And then also this guy, I'm looking at his deck list now, he doesn't even play Giovanni. So unless my Mewtwo is damaged, this Raichu will never one-shot me. Right. And that's really important because I'm going to play in a way where I'm not going to give you a damaged Mewtwo. Like, obviously, things happen, but I'm going to play in a way where I don't give you a damaged Mewtwo, and Raichu's never going to one-shot me. I'm going to play in a way where I manipulate your energy. Like, I'll play Sabrina's, make you waste retreats or whatever. So I found it to be pretty bricky because you're drawing a Pikachu that sucks. That's not EX. You're drawing Raichu, which takes a long time to get going unless you Lieutenant Surge.
Wait, Sabrina makes them pay the cost?
Well, no, it doesn't make them pay the cost, but what you can do sometimes is, like, sometimes they'll have Pikachu EX out, right? I definitely did this in tournament. They'll have Pikachu EX out in front with 1 energy on it, and I'll play Sabrina to make them switch to a benched Pokemon. That way, next turn, they have to choose to either attach an energy to then retreat, which puts them behind an energy, so then Pikachu can't attack me that turn, or just like not retreat or whatever. But it makes it so that they end up being a turn behind on energy, and I don't take damage. Gives me time to do stuff.
And everyone's playing 2 of it.
Yeah, everybody plays 2 of it. There's very rare cases where some decks play 1 and some decks play 0, but it's extremely, extremely rare.
Yeah, because I'm noticing Pot Agreed at 2, Professor's Research, Sabrina at 2, obviously Pokeball at 2, but then the Potion, is that the farthest right card, Potion?
That's X-Speed.
Oh, that's X-Speed, okay.
Yeah, X-Speed and Potion, those are sometimes in and out. I think Potion's I think they're both really good. I try to play at least 1 in every deck, or I try to play 2 in every deck because they're just really valuable. X-Speed lets you retreat without wasting energy, and Potion just helps you survive certain damage breakpoints or whatever.
Yeah. Okay,
so
you beat this guy.
I beat this guy. I did lose game 2 due to, I don't know if you can call it a misplay. It's one of those things where basically I was set up where I could kill one of his Pokemon, but if I killed it, he would bring in Pikachu EX, and if he had anything for the bench, he'd put it on the bench and then kill me. But if he had nothing to put on the bench, then he wouldn't be able to kill me. But it was like, does he have something to put on the bench? Probably. The other play was like, I did something else and I lost to Sabrina. So basically, I either lost to like them just having another Pokemon to put on the bench, or I lost to them having Sabrina. And, you know, ran the numbers in my head or whatever, and I decided like, I thought Sabrina was less likely for them to have, or less likely to be playable, because like maybe they don't have it and have to play Professor's Research to draw into something, and then they can't play Sabrina anyway. So I kind of voted to be like, okay, I'll dodge the Sabrina. I'll bank on whatever. Anyway, I ended up losing. They had Sabrina. I lost game 2, but then I won game 3. Game 1 and game 3 I won really easily. I did lose game 2 though.
Yeah, that's interesting, because everyone has to kind of play around Sabrina in their mind and stuff like that. Like, you're thinking. Yeah, I'm kind of learning a little bit more about how this all works the more you talk about it. Yeah,
Sabrina she's one of the strongest cards in the format for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could force them to put out some bullshit to just kill it.
Yeah, it's strong.
You can just win the game, even if your opponent is fully set up. Like, you could have your Mewtwo set up with the 4 energies going every turn type thing.
Yeah.
And I just go Sabrina, Like, because like, especially if I already killed something and you have, let's say, I guess a Mewtwo EX in the back, you're just like, all right. Oh, the question I wanted to ask you: how many Pokemon can you put in the bench at once?
So you have 3 bench slots and 1 active slot.
You can
And
put, but like you could just start playing all your. You could put as many things in the bench as you want.
yes,
Okay,
as long
there's
as you
no
have a
limit.
basic, you can go. It can be put on the bench.
Is a part of the skill in this game. You don't always just put your guys out into the bench just because you can.
So it's interesting. It's something that you have to kind of decide on the fly based on the way the game is going.
Right.
It can be very bad to put too many Pokemon on the bench. A really good example is in the Charizard deck. When you're building up Charizard, first of all, you want to have Pokemon, because when they Sabrina, it's not like they get to pick. I get to pick which Pokemon comes out.
Right. So the more choices you have, the better for you.
Yes. So when you're building up Charizard, you need to have something else on the bench that's not your Charmander, Charmeleon, whatever. That way, if they Sabrina you, you can bring that out so they can kill that, so they don't kill the guy you've been cooking all game.
Right.
So you need to have that. But then conversely, you need to be set up in a way where once your Charizard is out, you want nothing on your bench. Because if your Charizard's out with like 180 HP, how much HP he has, and then he's dealing 200 a turn, and he's like fully cooked, ready to go, he's going to Crimson Storm 2 turns in a row, whatever it may be. If they Sabrina you to like grab your other Charmeleon, you just lose. Because like you had another Charmeleon there. Once your Charizard's fully ready to go, you don't want anything on your bench because you don't want them to use Sabrina and like screw you over. There's actually some techs people have been using to play around that, the fossil cards, which are interesting, but we'll get into that another time.
Okay.
But yeah, so to answer the question, it's not always correct to just play your whole bench out because that can end up biting you in the ass. So this guy's also playing Mewtwo EX. He's playing very similar build to me. Instead of base Mewtwo, he's playing Kangaskhan. And
that's what that is.
Instead of the 1 Giovanni, he's playing the 1 red card. So this was a really good game. All 3 games were really close. I win game 1. We have a good back and forth. I don't remember the exacts of everything that happened, but I remember I won game 1, and it was really, really close. It was really fun. I lost game 2, and then I lose game 3 to a misplay. I 1,000,000,000% should have won. So, but I misplayed, so I lost, and that's that's.
Do you remember what the misplay was?
I do. I wrote it down, just so I wouldn't forget it. But I also kind of remember it as well.
Yeah, my losses keep me up at night. If I lose, especially if I lose to something that maybe I could have controlled, I will think about it for a while to kind of make sure I don't do it again.
So, if I remember correctly, he had a Ralts up front. Ralts has 60 HP. He had a Mewtwo EX like fully cooked in the back. And I forget who I had up front, but I had a Mewtwo EX in the back who had like 3 energy on it. And the 2 plays where it was like retreat, bring in the Mewtwo, use Giovanni to kill the Ralts. And if I did that, it would have put me ahead on points. He would have came in and I think revenge killed my Mewtwo, but then my other Mewtwo would have been able to come in and revenge kill him, if I remember correctly. Something like that, and then like I would have won. So at the time, I was at work, a customer came in, I was dealing with a customer, and then on top of that, there's a 45-second like turn timer.
Right.
So the turn timer's going. So I was like kind of stressed out, and I was like playing through what I needed to do in my head. But it was risky because I knew doing that, my Mewtwo EX was going to die, like on the revenge kill. So I was like playing through like whether or not it was worth it, how the points would end up factoring out. And I was kind of just like in a rush. The turn timer was happening. There happened to be a customer in there at the exact same time. And then so I ended up going with like a safe play. That safe play ended up making it so that I just like ended up losing. So I just ended up losing game 3. And it just sucks because as it was happening, I saw like the winning play, but I didn't have enough time to analyze it out and be like,
fully think it through. I know what you mean. I mean, there's times where in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you get close to time, you might have a really good play, but you might not have time to think it all through and to make sure that it's right. You do all the steps right, so then you have to rush it, or just like you said, do something safe. Like fuck it, I'll just tribute for Caius because I don't even know how to correctly do all the things I really want to do. So I'm just going to do this Kai's play and hope that that's like enough to knock him off. And then your opponent fires back with something crazy and you're sick.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened here. I'm not mad at it. I wasn't upset at all. Like, I lost, and I knew the loss was my fault, and it didn't like bother me that much. I was like, okay, I know exactly the mistake I made. That's on me, and it's just like add it to like the bank, like how certain plays will play out. Go ahead.
Because I'm seeing red card multiple times or whatnot.
Yep, most people played red card.
Yeah, that's what, that I can tell already. And then the question I was gonna have for you is like, how impactful was it against you?
So
do you recall red card being like, fuck?
So it's actually funny. This game, I have it written down right here. Also, red card had virtually no impact. Played around it game 1, and I played into it game 3 on purpose. So game 1, I play around it. I remember there was a point in time where I had Professor's Research in my hand, but I felt like there wasn't much I could do with my hand even after playing it. And so I purposely didn't play Professor's Research because I didn't want to get a bigger hand and then get red carded. So I purposely like kept my hand size small and played Professor's Research when I knew there was like a lot more stuff I could do. So I made red card like really undesirable all of game 1. And I think he ended up playing it at some point when I had like 4 cards on my hand or 3 cards on my hand, and it did nothing. Like, it was just, because that's the other thing, go back to the early in this video. Your deck is so small and you can play so many duplicates and like Rhoda and Pot of Greed. You can have a lot of consistency in your deck. So if you red card me and you're not getting me to minus on my hand, you're just randomizing my hand again. Like, you're not really doing anything.
Yeah, random is random, honestly.
Yeah, so
unless you have a good read that you know exactly what my hand is comprised of, or you have a gut feeling like he has this in his hand that he needs, and I have a chance to kind of throw it back into his deck and say he won't draw it again.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of just like game 1, red card didn't matter. I specifically played so that it had no impact. And then game 3, I specifically played into it because I had a hand that was really bricked. I needed something. I think I needed like to see Curlia. Like, I think I had Gardevoir in my hand and I needed to see Curlia, and like it was like, and I already had I think like 5 cards in my hand, so I already had like kind of a big hand, and it was like bricked. None of the cards were playable. I was like, okay, I'm gonna Professor's Research on purpose to like see deeper into my deck, see if I can unbrick my hand, and if I don't unbrick my hand, I want to get fucking red carded. Like, let him red card me because it'll and then it ended up working. Like, I played into it, he red carded me. It pretty much like I had a full hand of nothing I could do, and then he unbricked my hand. I had less cards, but the cards I got ended up being playable. We had a really good game and down to the end, and then I misplayed and I lost. But the red card is not why I lost. The red card actually helped me get closer to winning.
Yeah.
So
does anyone play 2 of it?
This deck right here plays 2 of it.
That's so funny. I asked that and it comes up immediately, like on cue almost.
This is the deck that plays 2 of it. It is also the only deck where I think it's playable. I you know, it has uses in decks. There's not a big card pool. I understand why people play it. I personally don't like it. This is, a lot of people feel to be the most toxic deck in the format. People hate Pikachu, people hate Mewtwo. They're the 2 best decks.
Yep.
But the people that are playing competitively, I think they're fine playing. They know those are the 2 decks you got to play against, and they're fine with it. And you get to duel when you play them. This deck is a fucking
deck, right?
This deck is a rant. So this deck only plays two monsters, 2 Pokemon, and that's Articuno. So you're guaranteed to start the game with 1 Articuno, and then you play 2 Pokeballs to try to get the other one. So to try to draw the other Articuno or Pokeball it or whatever.
Yep.
The thing about this deck is it kind of relies on Misty to flip heads to power up the Articuno and just like run you through. To talk about what, and so it does 80 damage with Blizzard. Misty, if you like turn 1, let's say you go first, where you get no energy. Turn 1, you get Articuno, Misty, you can flip 3 heads and then Blizzard me and I lose. Like,
right.
If I summon Ross who has 60 HP and I have nothing else on my bench, you summon Articuno, Misty, 3 heads, you kill me. And I lose the game.
When it gets the 3 energy on it, does it expend any of them to attack, or is it just like...
Nope. Once Articuno has 3 energy, it just does 80 every turn, and it does 10 to your bench.
Damn.
Every turn.
And it has how much HP?
140.
It's also pretty big. It's
very hard to kill. You need like a big Charizard or a big Mewtwo attack to take it out.
When you play against this deck, your heart's kind of beating fast.
This deck's frustrating, yeah, because if they see Misty and Misty hits its heads, you can get messed up. So game 1, I just clapped him. Like, it was super easy clap. Game 2, he got turn 1 Misty and killed me. Like, I lost game 2, like, without playing. And then game 3, we had actually a really good game. It went really fucking long, like, a lot of turns. And in this game was the only game where red card mattered, in quotes. But the way it mattered is so funny. And this is why I think red card is bad, right? There was a turn where I think I had 3 cards in my hand, right? And he had however many cards in his hand. But I think he had the read or whatever it was. I don't know. He thought I had whatever in my hand. It doesn't matter. I had a pretty good hand. I might have had 4 cards. He red cards me, and then I get my new hand, and then he plays hand scope. All hand scope does is you look at your opponent's hand. So he red cards me, and he gives me a really good hand. He plays hand scope to look at my hand, and he realizes he gave me a good hand, and so he plays a second red card.
Wow.
So he had to red card me twice in one turn, and then like the second red card actually did, like I ended up drawing a pretty bad hand the second time.
Yeah, so it did exactly what he needed to do.
But he had the red card, hand scope, and red card in order for red card to like get the value it needed to get, and that's only possible in this deck because this deck only plays 2 Pokemon. It just has room to fucking play. It has nothing else to play, so it plays hand scopes, and you know what I mean? Like, it has no other cards to really play.
I wonder if this is going to get more toxic with the next pack, or is it just going to be completely phased out of the meta?
It's hard to say. I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm just wondering because a deck like this is toxic. I already get the concept of it, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm a competitive person. This shit is some high rolly. I call it a casino deck.
This is a casino deck. This is the casino deck. And the thing that's frustrating about it, I might have talked about this before. I just don't like Misty as a card because Misty is so generic for water that unless something changes, she's going to be played in every water deck from here on out.
Yep.
And the thing that sucks is that she could just like high roll casino, you get 4 energy in 1 turn, or she does nothing. 50% of the time she should do nothing. And it's frustrating because I think that's really going to hamstring the way water decks are built because they have to play Misty, which is a card that half the time will do nothing and half the time will win them the game. Yep. And it's like kind of a shitty card for that reason. Yeah,
not great card design there at all.
No, not at all. But game 3 was really, really close. I ended up losing game 3. So this is my second loss. I lost game 3, and it was really fucking close. So even though red card mattered, he played 2 red cards and a hand scope in 1 turn for red card to matter. And it mattered. It gave me a bad hand. From there, though, there was like 6 turns where I was just 1 draw away from like a card I needed that would win me the game. And it's like we're having this back and forth, and it's like I'm 1 draw away. The deck's only 20 cards. By the last turn where I lost, I think there was like 6 or 5 cards left on my deck. I played Professor's Research, draw 2. When it was all said and done, I think there was like 3, like after playing Pot of Greed, whatever, I think there was like 4 or 3 cards left in my deck, and I just like didn't draw. And if I drew any of the cards, it was like the X speeds. I think I needed like either X speed or Gardevoir. I needed to like see the Gardevoir to generate an energy, or X speed to make a retreat free. I needed that for like 5 fucking turns, and I just like never came up. I got down to like 2 or 3 cards left in my deck. It never came up, and they were able to just like slowly win. So even there, I don't really feel like the red card mattered. It's just like I got unlucky. The card I needed was at the bottom of my deck, and it happens. That's card games.
Yep. Did you win or lose this round?
I lost this round. This is round 6, and I lost.
That's so scary, man. This is Dragon Turbo, and it's like if they get lucky or you get unlucky, you just kind of lose a round with the quickness.
Game 1, I blew them out. Game 2, they blew me out. And then game 3, we did duel. We had it back and forth.
But then you just didn't see the cards you needed.
I just didn't see my card at the end. And then this is round 7. This was a fairly easy win for me. I don't think Lapras is good, unfortunately. Lapras doesn't feel good. This guy, he played 2 Lapras. He played Snom and Frostmoth. Snom evolves into Frostmoth. He played 1 Articuno, 1 Psyduck. I'm going to guess that the reason why this guy played this deck, I'm going to guess he doesn't have 2 Articunos. I'm going to guess he just didn't pack a second Articuno. Psyduck is cool. He does 10 damage, and your opponent cannot use supporters on their next turn. So if you attack with Psyduck, they can't Misty, they can't Professor's Research, they can't Sabrina, they can't Giovanni.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, Psyduck is pretty cool. I like playing Psyduck with Gengar. It's kind of a gimmicky deck, but Gengar has a thing where if he's the active Pokemon, your opponent can't use supporters. So it's like early game Psyduck, stop them from using supporters, build up in the Gengar, and they can't use supporters, and it's kind of degenerate.
Yeah, Jinzo.
Yeah. There's not much to say about this round. I kind of just easily won. This was a 2-0.
Yeah, the deck is not optimized really. It kind of looks like he's missing a card, like you said, an important card at that. So
Yeah, the deck's not optimized. I don't think Lapras is good. Lapras, and what's funny though is I'm going to show you guys. I'll quickly look at some of the top 8 deck list.
I do want to see the top 8 deck list for sure.
There is a deck that won that is basically that Articuno deck, 2 Articuno, 18 trainers, but it was 2 Lapras, 18 trainers. That's in top 8. What that tells me is I got really lucky with Misty. We'll talk about it more when I look at the deck. But Lapras is kind of bad because if you look at Articuno, he has a 2 energy attack that does 40, and then the 3 energy attack Blizzard. And then Lapras just has a 3 energy attack. The other thing is Articuno's retreat is 2, and Lapras's retreat is 3. So Lapras is expensive to retreat it out into the other Lapras if you're playing 2 Lapras. And unless Misty pops, it takes a long time for her to come online and get Bubble Drain going.
Right.
If she had like a 1 energy attack that dealt 20 damage, I think she'd be really, really, really good.
How much damage does Lapras do?
She's 3 energy, 80 damage, just like Articuno.
Okay.
The sub effect is it heals 20. So she deals 80, heals 20 to herself. And then
she attacks only?
Yeah, every time she attacks, she heals 20. So it is good, but the problem is without Misty, it takes too long to come online. And I feel like you just can like beat Lapras down. And then she's too heavy to like retreat and get out of there.
Yeah.
And dance around plays. So because of how heavy she is and how slow she is, unless Misty pops for her, I feel like she's not that good. And Articuno is just better. Being able to attack that 1 turn sooner is really important. Or not even 1 turn sooner. Sometimes maybe Misty pops, but she doesn't pop enough. So as long as Misty pops a little bit, so you can start using Ice Wing, you know what I mean? Whereas like Lapras, there's no middle ground. I don't think she's that good. Yeah, so not much to say about this round. I win this one, and this is where things get kind of unfortunate, I guess, in a weird way. I'm like super hype. I'm like, I do it. I'm like, all right, I can't wait to see. Like, I hope I got top 16. I'm not 100% sure. Blah blah blah.
You're X2, right?
I'm X2. Yeah, I'm X2, and so I've heard about the bubble. I've been on the. I haven't entered as many Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, but I've been on the bubble. You know what I mean? I've dodged the bubble. I've been popped by the bubble, and I've heard about the bubble a lot. And so there were 7 rounds, and then I was like, I really hope I get top 16, because the way I was thinking is if I don't get top 16, I'm probably not even going to talk about the tournament.
Right. That's what I do.
Yeah. So not only just not because like I'm embarrassed by it, but just nobody wants to hear about you entering a tournament and go to drop. You know what I mean?
Like, I know what's going to happen though. So I agree with you on that take. I'm not embarrassed by it because I play way too much Yu-Gi-Oh! You guys know that I scrubbed plenty of tournaments throughout my fucking 20 years of playing this game or whatever, however long it's been.
Yeah.
I've scrubbed out hundreds of tournaments now, right? I've also done really well in a lot of tournaments at this point. And I noticed there are people out there who are like, I would still want to hear your scrub out tournament reports just because they feel like they'll learn something. And I don't disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the motivation to do that isn't really there for me, the person. Like, I understand that there are people who would benefit from, tournament report based on a non-topping tournament, but like as soon as I'm out, my mind isn't even thinking about content or like that type of thing. Maybe I will do that one day though. Maybe in 2025 when I scrub out of an online tournament that has replays, because if I scrub out an in real life tournament, there's really not much to do. I'll kind of quickly recap it in a podcast or whatever. But in terms of like giving you guys the replays and saying, hey, I lost this tournament, but we can watch it and see how I lost, and maybe there's things I could have did better, that's something that you might see in 2025. Anyways. Yeah.
Also, I just feel like it might be hard, like, if people see like top 16 at this tournament, top 4, top whatever. I feel like if the YouTube thumbnail is I went 0-2 drop, I don't know if as many people click that video. You know what I mean?
I would say that there's a good chance
that it does better. that it does better than
crazy. Like, that video might go crazy, especially depending on the context of how I like got scraped or whatnot. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. I'm going to scrub out of a tournament next year, 100%. That's just what I do. But I want to see if I can get some content out of a scrub out, because usually people just scrub and they go about their business. Some people rage quit. I'm not a rage quitter kind of guy. I just kind of accept it. I've played Yu-Gi-Oh for far too long to be that guy who doesn't say GGs or like left the door, which is usually like a fucking baby.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Oh, something I wanted to say real quick, just in general, because one of the things about this game is a lot of people say that there's a lot of luck involved, and there is luck involved, like every card game. But I do truly think there's not as much luck involved as people say. I do think there's a lot of skill involved. There's like things that happened during the tournament, and I can't fully remember all of it, but there were very specific plays that either I made or misplayed that caused me to win or lose games throughout almost all of these rounds. The one round, like in the Mewtwo mirror matches, and one in I think round 3 or whatever it was, there was misplays that the opponent made, and then specific ways I played my cards and moved my Pokemon around and played them. Like I was playing in a specific way to deny them from getting points, and they ended up playing in a way that made my points more valuable because they like sunk energy into things, blah blah blah, and that ended up mattering for the win. And then the game that I lost to my misplay. Like if I had played it correctly, I would have won. So, and there was no like luck in that. We just had a long duel, like multiple turns, multiple things happening on each turn, and then there was a deciding turn where I could have won the game. I wouldn't have won that turn, but I would have won on like the following turn. And,
it's like chess. You put them in check.
So anyway, that was really cool. And then I think this next image is, so this is the top 16. So there's Skyclaw X, that is me.
Oh wait, this is so cool. Your name is there? Wait, where are you at?
I'm number 10. I'm 10th place, Skyclaw X.
That is so cool.
So there I am, 10th place, Skyclaw X. Also, they have our flags here, which is crazy.
Congrats. Look at that. Look at Kenny in top 16.
Top 16. Yeah,
Now the channel has 2 people topping tournaments out here.
Listen, I'm trying to be out here.
No, I'm happy to see this. This is good. This is a good start.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Now, sadly, this kind of annoyed me because I was like really excited for this. I got top 16, and like I'm counting this as a top. There was 250 people in this tournament, and I got 10th place. I got top 16. I don't care what anyone says. So, the streamer,
oh god,
ends the tournament.
What?
I was like waiting. So I saw the standings. I was like, yes, I'm in 10th fucking place. I'm about to go in the top 16. I'm super hyped. Blah blah blah.
Just by the way, a tournament with 250 people is a top 16 cut for like pretty much everything that I could think of.
Yeah.
Like,
so
top 16 playoff, I mean, you know.
Yeah. So I'm pumped. I'm like, all right, I can't wait to play in this top 16 to talk, like, because even though, you know, I got 2 losses earlier, I could end up going, I could get 4th, I could get 2nd, I could get 1st, whatever.
You could literally win the tournament.
So I'm excited to see, like, where this is going to go. And then, like, for one reason or another, I don't fully understand, because once again, I'm at work. I don't know if he had something came up, there was an emergency. The person that was running the tournament, all of a sudden, the tournament was over and we didn't get to play out top 16. And I was like really sad about that because I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to, you know, have stuff keep going. But I got top 16. I didn't get to play in top 16, unfortunately, but I got top 16, 10th place. And the deck list.
I want to ask a question. Are any of your opponents in top 16 with you?
Yes. Ike. So 12th place Ike is he's playing Articuno. That's the Articuno deck I lost to. Very close game. I was 1 draw away from winning all of game 3. But Ike is who I lost to that was playing Articuno. And I played Julie Chan. She played Mewtwo. I played against both of them in the bracket.
Okay. I see quite a couple Mewtwo decks too, because I see the same icons as yours on the right.
Yeah, so looking at it, they're in top 16. There were 5 Pikachu decks, 5 Mewtwo decks, 4 water decks. Them being Articuno, Blastoise, Starmie, or Lapras. They do play, like, Articuno plays very differently from Blastoise, but at the moment I just categorize them all as water, and there was 2 fire decks. There was 1 Charizard deck and 1 Arcanine deck. I grouped them together because they're similar as well, because Charizard and Arcanine, both, at least these builds of them, both rely on Moltres in order to get the engine running.
Yeah.
And then, like, your boss monster is just either Arcanine or Charizard. So yeah, 5 Pikachu, 5 Mewtwo, 4 Water, 2 Charizard. The Pikachus all play different variants. So first place was Pikachu Zapdos. 6th place was Pikachu Zebstrika. 13th was Pikachu Zebstrika. 14th was Pikachu Raichu. And then 16 was Pikachu Zapdos. So I'll bring up, I grabbed top 8 deck list real quick, and we can just like look at them. First place, I can quickly go through and then we can cycle back. But like, first place is Pikachu. They just play 2 Pikachu, 2 Zapdos, 2 normal Zapdos, and 1 Pincurchin. Then second place, in terms of the standings, is Charizard. Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard EX, 1 base Charizard, 2 Moltres, and I'll talk about some of the reasons for that. This guy played, this is 3rd place. They played a Mewtwo deck, very similar to the one I lost to, but this isn't the guy that I lost to.
Yeah, the Kangaskhan and a red card. Yep.
Yep. Also, all 3 of these decks play red card. So, once again, red card is topping tournaments.
Yep.
That's not changing my mind, though. I still don't think it's good. I think it's topping in spite of what it is. I don't think...
Right. And just because something wins or does well doesn't mean that it's correct.
Yeah.
And the longer things are played, the more corrections that happen with a format. I actually learned this from Leffen recently. Not learned it, but it kind of reinforced it. So Leffen is playing Rivals 2 right now. Just on a quick tangent. And I was watching a tier list video that he did. The tier list came out like yesterday. So I watched it yesterday. And in that video, at the end of it, he said, I'm ranking everybody based on right now, not if we had 2 years to play this game with this current patch.
Yeah.
He's like, I do think that all of these characters would drastically change the tiers based on what I have right now. If we had 2 years uninterrupted of no changes, this is what the game is. But he's like, reality is there's going to be a patch in December that we all know about. Things are going to change, and then this will become irrelevant. But for right now, I think that these are the best characters in this order, and this is the reasons why, and I'm only going to judge them based on right now and not on potential. Potential is a completely different discussion. So red card right now is doing really well. If you guys had to play this set for a year straight, things will develop a lot differently, and maybe it will fall out of contention, maybe not, but we won't ever know.
I think it's doing good in spite, because that also, other than Articuno, people only play 1 of it, and so I don't know. Is it that good if you're only playing 1? You play 2 of everything else. So, but yeah, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. This is another Mewtwo build. They're playing no red card. They got 4th place. Instead of the red card or the Giovanni that I replaced red card with, they're playing Jinx. So they have Kangaskhan and Jinx. Jinx is a basic 80 HP, 30 damage for 2 energy, and it does 20 more damage for every energy attached to the opponent's Pokemon. So she punishes high energy attackers like Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Mewtwo. So she's just a really good card to come in and like quickly punish people that have big energy attached to them, do a lot of damage relatively quickly. 5th place is Starmie Articuno, which I think is one of the strongest versions of water. I think playing just a 2 Articuno, you're trying to run the lottery. Adding Starmie to it, adding Starmie to it makes it so that you're playing an actual deck. And Starmie is just very, very, like, I think this deck is so much, like, so if you don't want to duel, you just want to, like, I want to enter a tournament, roll the dice, and, like, maybe I top, maybe I don't, then take the Starmies out and play 2 Articuno, and, like, you're running the lottery. But if you want to actually duel and play a better deck that will more consistently have a win rate, you fucking put the Starmies in.
Yeah, this should be clipped and put into the front of the video. I'm just gonna throw it out there now as like a way to intro it. Yes,
look, man, it's the truth. Because so the 2-star you, 2-star me, right? That's, you take those out. That's 2 hand scope, another red card, and something like you're replacing them with fucking not real cards. Like it's another red card and 2 hand scopes. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, 2 hand scope sounds so newbie, by the way. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Hand scope sounds so fucking newbie, bro. It's like that one card, Eye of Truth in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, you're fucking playing Eye of Truth, dog.
It's like, so bad.
So noob cake. Just hand scope. It sounds so. The name of that card is not serious.
Not at all. It is
hand
terrible.
Scope is not a serious name for a card. I'm sorry, I can't.
So I think this build's quite strong. I think this deck is really good in general. It gets kneecapped by Pikachu existing, being so popular. 6th place was another Pikachu. This doesn't play the 2 base Zapdos. It plays Blitzel, Zebstrika. Zebstrika's cool. For 1 energy, it can deal 30 damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon. That's including the bench. So that's really good for sniping bench Pokemon. People at low health that try to retreat, get out of there so you don't like lose points. Zebstrika can just come in, kill them. If like you're playing against Mewtwo, Ralts only has 60 HP. So if you get an early Zebstrika and they don't find the evolution card, 2 attacks, you kill their Ralts. And you can shut down their engine.
How much does the evolution have in terms of HP?
I think it's 60, 80, and then 110.
Gotcha.
Curlia's 80, I think, and then 110 is Gardevoir.
Yeah, that card seems dangerous as hell. Attacking bench Pokemon is ignorant as hell. Like, Articuno does that too, but only for 10.
Only for 10, yeah. Zebstrika is, he's nice. Pin Urchin, whatever. is just an annoying Pokemon. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon's paralyzed, and if you're paralyzed, you can just do nothing. So if they attack you, there's just a 50% chance you can do nothing that turn. So that sucks. 7th place. This is basically the Articuno deck, but I'm assuming this person just doesn't have Articuno, so he was like, I'm gonna try to do the Articuno deck, but with double Lapras.
So wild to me.
Yeah.
First of all, this is the same deck list as the other guy who was playing the Articuno deck that you played against.
Yep.
But just with Lapras, and it's just inferior, really.
Yeah.
It is scary though that like Dragon Turbo was out here. Like Dragon Turbo is just
this is just a turbo deck.
It's a viable strategy.
Like this person got to 7th place. He made a lot of people mad.
There.
He hit Misty's. He hit his Misty heads, and he did good because of it. I think this deck is just worse than the Articuno version, but doesn't matter. You win regardless. Like if Misty happened, like it doesn't matter. So and then 8th place was this is a cool deck. This is just Blastoise with Articuno. It's cool to see Blastoise getting up in top 8.
What's Blastoise do? Like, what's the benefit of even doing this?
So Blastoise is probably the least played out of the starters. Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise. Charizard's the most played, Venusaur, and then Blastoise is probably the least played. Blastoise is... I like it a lot. It has 180 HP. For 2 energy, it can do Surf, which does 40. For 3 energy, it does Hydro Bazooka, which does 100. But if you have 5 energy on it, it does 160. So 3 energy does 100, 5 energy it does 160. If Blastoise gets 5 energy on it, it kills everything.
Oh god, I'm just realizing the whole Misty thing again.
Misty,
because I was like, how the fuck are you getting 5 energy? And then I realized that you could just flip for 5 energy sometimes.
You can't just flip for 5 energy. You can often. So I play a Blastoise deck just because I like Blastoise, and obviously I play Misty in it because I don't have a choice. Yep. I've never, ever hit 2 heads. It's never happened. I usually hit tails, or I hit 1 heads and then tails. And I wish that's all Misty. I wish Misty just gave 1 energy. If it just gave 1 energy, I'd be so happy. Because when I play the Blastoise deck, I use Misty, I'll get 1 water energy on Blastoise, and then I build them up in the background. And then when he comes out, he has 180 health. So literally, the only Pokemon that can one-shot him is Charizard.
Yep.
So he comes out, he kills you, and then there's nothing you can do. You're fucked. If he's ready to go. But it's not a strong deck. It's not super consistent. It relies on Misty for its energy ramp, and it also, you need to get Squirtle, Wartortle, Blastoise. It just doesn't have. It has a lot of payoff, but it's just more inconsistent than Venusaur and Charizard. And there's better versions of Water. If you just play Star You Star Me, you're in a much better place for 2 energy, 90 every turn.
That's so wild.
I'm happy to see it got top 8, but
or 2 for 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Starmie's crazy, but this was really fun. It's cool. Top 8 was a mix of Pikachu, Mewtwo, water decks.
This is first place?
Yeah, this is first place.
Is there anything to say it? Because this guy went undefeated, right? He went 7-0.
Yeah.
He said he plays 2 Zapdos and then 2 regular Zapdos. I noticed you said that when we were going through it.
Yeah, honestly, I've seen a lot of people play.
What do they do? Well, I know one of them.
So
I think I know one of them.
Yeah, Zapdos EX, 130 health. For 1 energy, can do Peck, which is 20 damage. It's really, really, really good just because it has something to do for cheap.
Yeah.
That's something I said, Lapras. If Lapras had 1 energy, 20 damage, it'd be really good for her. And then he has 3 energy, and then flip 4 coins, 50 damage per heads. So anywhere from 0 to 200 damage. Crazy. And then Pikachu EX is 30 damage per benched Pokemon, so max 90. Pinurchin is 30 damage, 50% chance to paralyze. And then base Zapdos is 3 energy to do 100 damage, and then you do 30 damage to one of your own benched Pokemon. So you hurt yourself. So now I don't have 2 Pikachu EXs. I don't have a Pikachu deck built. I have a Raichu deck built just because I like Raichu, but I don't have Pikachu EX to run a real Pikachu EX deck. So I've never run these decks really. I don't know much about them. I mean,
Can you craft Pikachu EX?
I can. I just haven't.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have Mewtwo, and I'm happy with that. My guess though is that this Zapdos never attacks. Anytime I've played against a deck like this that plays base Zapdos, I think they play it in a very similar way to the way I play base Mewtwo. It's more so just a wall. It's a wall that thematically fits with your deck. This Zapdos has 100 health with only 1 retreat cost. If you compare that to Kangaskhan, Kangaskhan has 100 health, 3 retreat cost. Now, Kangaskhan, the big benefit with that is that it has a 1 energy attack. So, Kangaskhan can apply pressure early on. This Zapdos, I think it's just a body to be on the bench to charge up Pikachu EX's Circle Circuit, or early game to just be up front so you can charge up your bench. And it has a lot of health to tank some hits. It has a really cheap retreat cost at 1 energy, so you can just use 1 X speed or just 1 energy to get them out.
This deck is fast in general.
This deck's fast. This deck's very, very fast.
Everything that it puts out can just start doing something, basically.
Yep. Also, it is 2, 4, 6, 7 basic Pokemon. There's no evolutions. So it's just really good because every time you draw a Pokemon, it is a Pokemon that can immediately go on your bench, which is beneficial for Pikachu. And your Pokeballs are just grabbing stuff. Like, you just want your bench filled up. You're
playing nine Pokemon, basically, with the 2 Pokeballs.
Yeah. So this is a really fast, really strong deck. It deals damage quick. It is a problem fast. And I think this version of the deck, or a version similar to this, is probably the best version. I think once you start adding too many, like, you add the 2 Pikachus and the 2 Raichus, and then the 2 Lieutenant Surges, you end up just adding a lot more brickiness to your deck.
Right.
Like, 2 more Surges, they conflict with you playing Professor, Giovanni, Sabrina, and then the 2 Pikachus and the Raichus are just, like, really slow. Like, I think that there's probably some merit to it. That version of the deck does well. But from everything I've seen, I think a more streamlined version like this is a lot cleaner and does a lot better. But the Raichu does one-hit KO all of these things, so...
Well, this was really fun. I enjoyed this tournament report. This was obviously a bit lengthy, but I think for, like, the first one is good. I learned a lot, so now I probably will have a lot less questions, so we can fly through, like, if you ever do another tournament report, I'd be happy to kind of, like, go through it with you.
Real quick, I wanted to say for the Charizard deck, because this is something that people have been doing more recently, too. Like, there's the 2 Charizard EXs, and then the 1 normal Charizard. That's just to add consistency to drawing Charizard. Now, you can still get screwed on Charmeleon, but, you know, Charmander, Charmeleon, and then, like, that way you don't get screwed on not getting Charizard out. Right. You have something, and even though regular Charizard's not as good as EX, it still does 150, which still one-hits almost everything outside of, like, Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise. Like, it still one-hits Mewtwo and everything else. And I also think it's a bit of red card protection. A lot of people are playing red card. So if I have 3 Charizards, like, your red card... Because the best part about red card is, like, screwing over evolutions. So if I have more copies of my evolution, then red card becomes even weaker than it already is, in my opinion.
Yeah, red card's probably not very good against the Pikachu deck that we saw that got first.
I don't think it's good at all against that
I think
deck.
you just get fucking rushed down by that deck in general. Like, it's just looking like a rushdown deck to me. It also can play so many cards from its hand and onto the bench.
Yep. Yeah, I think red card is... Its only real use is against evolutions. So, like, Charmander, Charmeleon. It's good against, like, Mewtwo because of Gardevoir. But overall, like I said, in my 7 rounds, there was only 1 game where red card mattered. And they had to play 2 red cards and a hand scope in 1 turn. So, but yeah, I mean, that's it. That's the tournament. I got 10th place. I'm adding that to an accolade. I got 10th out of 250, so, you know, I'll take it.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. I mean, 7 rounds. It had to be... Yeah, seven rounds, 5-2. Like, that's pretty fucking good. It's pretty good. And one of your losses is Dragon Turbo, which...
Yeah, you know. So I lost to, like... One loss was just card game loss luck. Like, I didn't... I got, you know... I lost to RNG, and, you know, it happens. It happens in any card game. I'm not mad at it. Then my other loss, I attribute to myself. Like, I gave myself that loss. And,
if you played, like, a little bit better or whatever, you could have won that round, and that's good to know. Like, that's very good to know. There's room for growth, and I definitely could see you possibly even taking down one of these tournaments in the future because you're very knowledgeable about this game already, and you're on the ground level. I feel like that's so important.
Yeah.
Expanding on that ground level, so that way when the next pack comes out, like, you already know kind of what cards will be. You kind of have an eye for what cards are going to be good or bad when you see them.
Yep.
Just, you know.
Yeah, when the next pack comes out, I'm going to scope it quick. I'm going to look at all the cards, figure out what packs I want to open, what decks I want to
Yeah.
build at first. Like it's going to be
It's
cool.
gonna be exciting. I can't wait to see how the communities who play Pokemon like pick up on everything too. I'm excited. I'm excited for
Yep.
this Pokemon TCG Pocket stuff.
Same. Well, thank you for helping me out with the tournament report. It's my first tournament report on the channel.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys will see some more Pokemon tournament reports from me. I want to try to get, the only thing that sucks is because it's like they happen on days where I'm working. This tournament was on a day I was working, but it's a much smaller tournament. I want to enter one of those like weekend one, like I think the last 3 weekends in a row, the Saturday tournament had over 1,000 entrants.
Jeez.
I want to get in one of those, but it's going to be a bit harder to swing, but I'm going to try.
Okay. Well, go luck. And I think is that everything?
I think so.
Yeah.
That should be everything.
So we'll
Good to
catch you
go.
guys in the next one. Peace out.
Peace.